So let's just dive into the beginning of Moist. How did you meet the other band members, and where did the idea of starting a band together come from?
So Dave and I met first. We met through friends. He and I both went to high school in Kingston. We went to different high schools in Kingston, but some of my buddies would rent student housing and live there during the year for a while, and usually until they got evicted. So I met David at a party at one of his houses, and we were both pretty lit up. And my memory of meeting David, I've told this story often, is standing on one side of a couch on the top of a couch, having an argument with him about who was Spider-Man. So, and like I said, we were pretty lit up. Our first tour manager, Stan, also lived in that home. Jeff and Mark I met through Queens, through playing in bands and in the local Kingston scene. And yes, we often have discussions about living in squalor. I think that I lived in the second worst student housing ever, the most squalor, with the exception theirs was Jeff and Mark. It was just exponentially worse. We never had our power cut off. I never had a snowdrift in my living room. Yeah, you're gonna have to take that up with Jeff.
Yeah, they say rock bottom is the perfect foundation to build a life upon, and that was you guys in Kingston.
Yeah, yeah.
So each individual musician might have their own influences. You were talking about, for you loved Kiss, you loved Rush, you loved Alice Cooper. When you put together a band that has 4 or 5 members, each member is bringing in those influences. Who would you say were the biggest influences on the band as a whole? So as you are getting together as Moist, you're figuring out your sound, who would you say the band's influences were?
You know, that really is a tough question to answer, Joel, because we were all very single-minded, all very vocal about what we liked and what direction we wanted to go. There obviously early 90s, a lot of stuff going on that had an influence on us, Pearl Jam, Nirvana being big ones. But we all brought in our own influences that were ranged so wildly that it's impossible to say this is what made the band sound like the band. You know, it's just we kind of had an idea of where we wanted to go, but finding our way through the various individual influences, I think, is how we ended up where we ended up.